Good afternoon. It is my honor to be invited to this gathering and have an opportunity to speak about Japanese corporate archives. The Shibusawa Eiichi Memorial Foundation, for which I am working, has been working on the promotion of corporate archives since 2004. You will know more about our foundation and my work from the presentation in Stockholm in April this year, as Anders mentioned yesterday. So, today I will talk about corporate archives and museums in Japan and how corporate archives contribute to the succession of corporate values and support business, taking the branding and educational tool at Nissin Foods Group as an example. I thank Mr. Kazuyuki Tsurumaru and Ms. Saki Uchida of the Public Relations Department at Nisshin Foods Holdings Co. Limited, Mr. Kiyotaka Ukita, the Executive Director of Business Archives Association in Japan, and Mr. Nobuyoshi Fujisawa of Total Media Development Institute Co. Limited for their incredible help and support to my presentation today. I should mention that the opinions and ideas are, however, in this presentation, solely my own. So in Japan, employees in charge of corporate archives are rarely involved in their long-term management and utilization. They will be transferred to another department every few years. This characteristic is due to the fact that the employment system of Japanese companies, especially large companies, is not a job-based but membership-based model of regular employment. Professional education courses to train archivists were only established in 2008. However, Japan has a tradition for compiling corporate archives called Shashi. Someone told me that yesterday it was Sushi, wasn't it? Who listened to my presentation in Basel. It was 2013, and I made a presentation about Shashi at the time. But it's not a sushi, it's a Shashi. Shashi is what companies compile and publish at their responsibility using their records. According to Shashi expert Ms. Katsuko Murahashi, the number of titles published in recent years is about 200 a year, where the number of companies that have published Shashi so far as of 2017 is more than 6,000. The cumulative total number of Shashi titles is over 16,000. You can see the picture here. This is the Shashi collection housed in Japan Business History Institute. Some of them are from the business history community and management community. According to a well-known business history scholar, Professor Yui in Japan, very famous scholar Alfred Dupont Chandra of the US visited this institute 4 times during his lifetime, and he said it was a very good collection. And the institute was actually established in 1968, and which has this strong connection with the scholars in business history who studied in the business school in the US during the 1960s, such as Harvard Business School. So I am going back to the story about Shashi. A compilation of the Shashi is conducted about once in 10 years. Companies commonly set up an ad hoc team for Shashi compilation. Such compilation projects usually make great effort to collect records and artifacts as comprehensively as possible, and thus Shashi is indispensable to the foundation of corporate history information. There are few professional archivists in Japanese companies, as I told you before, but archival materials are being utilized frequently and in certain cases strategically for business. Nissin Foods Group, which I am going to introduce today, is surely the one of those companies that recognize the business value of archives. And I also would like to explain a little bit more about Japanese corporate museums. The number of corporate museums has increased significantly since the 1970s, especially during the 1980s. The collapse of the bubble economy in 1991 slowed down museum growth, but it picked up after 2000. According to Mr. Takatoshi Ishikawa from Tansei Institute Co. Limited, who has been involved in the launch of corporate museums, 151 corporate museums were newly opened, and 116 museums innovated during April 2006 and December 2016. Now, I'd like to move on my discussion to the Nissin Foods Group. Nissin Foods Group is a group which Nissin Foods Holdings Co. Limited as its parent company, established on September 4, 1948. As of March 2017, its capital is 25,122 million Japanese yen, consolidated number of employees 11,710, consolidated sales 495,750 million Japanese yen, consolidated ordinary income 32,864 million Japanese yen, and consolidated net income 23,558 million Japanese yen. The business areas of Nissin Foods Group are the manufacture and sale of instant noodles, chilled foods, frozen foods, confectionery and cereal foods, and dairy products, soft drinks, chilled dessert, and other food products. Nissin Food Products Co. Limited has released over 350 kinds of instant noodles a year. In addition, instant noodles born in Japan have become a world food. Now, 100 billion meals are consumed every year. The founder of Nissin Foods, Ando Momofuku, was born in Taiwan under Japanese rule. At the age of 22, he started a textile trading company, which enjoyed great success. In 1933, he transferred the base of his business to Osaka, Japan. During World War II, he was accused of fraud and subsequently tortured by Japanese military police. Momofuku lost a significant part of his business with Japan's defeat. On September 4, 1948, he established the Chuko Sosha Company, the predecessor of the present Nissin Foods, and started a food-related business. However, the credit union appointed as director became bankrupt and lost Momofuku's properties in the process, save for a rented house in Ikeda City, Osaka. Momofuku, then 47 years old, did not give up. He repeatedly attempted to capitalize on the importance of food, enlightened by the misery of its shortage during and after the war. He built a house shed of 10 square meters in his home and devoted his energy to the development of the world's first instant noodles, chicken ramen. His invention of the instantaneous oil heating drying method, which applied the principle of frying tempura, was particularly important for the development of his business, as was the choice of a chicken soup that would appeal to people of any cultural background. In 1958, he completed his work on the long-awaited instant noodles, commercialized it, and released it, and this product gained tremendous support from consumers owing to its convenience and good taste. Developing this product required innovation, such as the development of mechanical equipment for mass production, which Momofuku led personally. Company's second major development is the success of cup-type instant noodles. So this is chicken ramen now. And his second development was this type of cup-type noodle. This is also in the market. This invention was inspired by his experience during a visit to the United States in 1966. A US buyer started to eat chicken noodle with a fork, not chopstick. We usually use chopsticks, but in the States or somewhere in Europe, they they didn't have any chopsticks. But US buyer tried to eat with noodles and just, excuse me. In order to eat this cup noodles, we need some kind of bowl and something to instruments such as chopsticks or fork. And US buyer just this, cut into pieces and into the and put into that paper cup and pour the water. It was a great kind of discovery for Momofuku to eat the instant noodles. So, method of making containers, sealing lid with lids, and fixing noodles in the middle of that containers were all new inventions born shortly after. Momofuku registered the patent of these inventions. Notably, he deemed it his social contribution to release these intellectual property rights. In other words, licensing was given to other companies. As a result, the instant noodle market expanded, leading to the prosperity of not only Nissin Foods, but also the entire industry, which struggled to meet the exploding consumer demand. In the Shashi, they mentioned lots of lawsuits during the development of their business. But also, on the other hand, the founder decided to give license to other companies, which was really good for the industry, also to the society. So Momofuku, when the founder died in January 27, the New York Times immediately reported his death with the title, Momofuku Ando, 96, dies invented instant ramen. Nissin Foods' corporate values are creative thinking and challenging spirit, embodied by the life of its founder and the history of Nissin Foods. And the founder has many words left. In particular, the following words represent the company's values well. No matter how the times change, even in the era of IT prosperity, the most important thing for developers is creativity. It is tenacity to accomplish it. Nissin Foods published Shashi on 30 years of its history in May 1992, 40 years in August 1998, and 50 years in August 2008. I just brought the 50 years history book here. This is like this. Like chicken ramen, you see? In each case, a project-based special committee for Shashi compilation was established as such. It's a very traditional way for Japanese companies to compile Shashi. Both the 30 and 40-year history Shashi are in the form of an orthodox book with detailed text and photographs. Meanwhile, conceptualized as fun to browse Shashi, the 50-year history release is divided into 3 contents. This, you can see these 3 parts of the book. One is a booklet, which called Gene of Creation and Innovation, a brochure on founder Ando Momofukuden. This is Ando Momofukuden. Excuse me. This is a, This is a company history part. It just show you. It's a text and lots of visual content. Yeah. The other one is like this. Very fun to see. And there's also a DVD here. Thank you. So these components are enclosed in a cover designed with chicken ramen noodles, as you see. So at this point, I would like to introduce the example of the utilization of the company's accumulated data for the business, particularly with regard to the company history. The data are compiled in a released report entitled Observation on Social Groundwork for Cup-Type Instant Noodle Penetration. In every country, the instant noodle market begins with low-priced bag-type variants. Some years later, the market shifts to cup-type noodles, which are more convenient and higher priced. Every time demand for cup noodles takes off, there is a common social groundwork in place. In Japan, Guangdong, and Singapore, where cup-type noodles markets are well established, the product began selling well when the GDP per capita exceeded 8,000 US dollars. GDP is around 8,000 US dollars. People in their 20s made up 17% or more of the population, and the average monthly income of that target was about 1,000 times the price of one serving of cup noodles. Yeah. Another marker is the spread of McDonald's and the price of a Big Mac set ranging from 3.3 to 4 times the price of cup noodles. These became Nissin's indicators. In other words, it became clear from the accumulated company data that when people find their lives economically easier, they start wanting to try new foods, even if these cost a little bit more. And diets start to become more diversified. People who had only eaten bag-type noodles tended to begin eating more expensive cup-type noodles. In promoting global branding, Nissin Foods used the above data as reference in market-making decisions such as timing the introduction of cup-type noodles to a market. So now I am going to talk about the utilization of corporate archives. In November 1999, Nissin Foods opened instant ramen memorial museums in Ikeda City, Osaka Prefecture, the company's birthplace. It was renamed Cup Noodles Museum Osaka Ikeda in September 2017. This is a realization of the founder's desire to convey the importance of invention and discovery to children. The tour starts at the founder's workshed, whose message is that even without any special equipment, it is possible to create world-changing inventions with just ordinary tools, as long as there is an idea, and then present the development stories of chicken noodles and cup noodles. The museum visitors can experience the series of processes for making cup noodles at the My Cup Noodles factory. This is My Cup Noodles factory. Design the cup, and choose the soup and ingredients, and close the lid, shrink wrap the product, and put the cup in an air package. I don't have any picture on the slide. Another hands-on instruction, Chicken Ramen Factory, allows visitors to experience the process of making chicken noodles. Sheet the flour by hand, stretch out dough with a noodle machine, cut the noodles, measure a serving, put it in a basket, have it steamed, design the package while steaming, unravel the steamed noodles, season the noodles, put the noodles in the mold, and fry with oil. Yes, fry with oil, which is called instantaneous oil heat drying method to complete. This attraction is so popular that on a sought-after day, such as Saturdays and Sundays, it may be full as soon as reservation starts on the same day 3 months prior. In September 2011, the company opened Cup Noodles Museum Yokohama. The official name is Ando Momofuku Memory Museum Yokohama. The concept of this museum is learning the creative thinking of the founder whose instant noodles invention brought innovation to food culture. Like the Cup Noodles Museum Osaka Ikeda, this facility also incorporates the founder's work shed, chicken ramen factory, My Cup Noodles factory, Momofuku Theater, and the athletic facility called Cup Noodles Park. Visitors can trace how instant noodles developed from chicken ramen into a world-class food culture in Instant Ramen History Cube, which now you can look this, where overwhelming packages of instant noodles with over 3,000 items are arranged on display. As Mr. Kashiba Sato, a well-known art designer, is in charge of producing, these museums are positioned high in the corporate communication strategy of the Nissin Foods Group. The number of visitors to both museums after opening is as follows. Notable for showing no significant decrease over time. Cup Noodles Museum Osaka Ikeda opened in November 1999. Cumulative number of visitors reached 7 million in September 2016. Cup Noodles Museum Yokohama opened in September 2011, and the number of visitors reached 6 million in June 2017. We can draw some lessons from the history of Nissin Foods Group. First, the top leadership, in cooperation with corporate communications and other related departments, strategically uses historical information resources gathered through Shashi compilation as historical content for museums and websites. The top involvement is especially critical. Secondly, the core of the company's branding aims to not only honor the founders in steadfast spirit in the face of challenges, but also visualize the invention and discovery processes, as well as use the archives for information dissemination through museums and websites. The hands-on experience type content like My Cup Noodles Factory and Chicken Ramen Factory contributes to marketing as branding and education tool through enabling visitors to feel the corporate values, creative thinking, and challenging spirit that enable the product inception with their 5 senses. Thirdly, the history content of the company's information dissemination, including in museums and websites, is based on Shashi published in 1992, 1998, and 2008. The accumulation of historical information in the analog era is of great use in the digital era. A dramatic, truthful story based on historical facts becomes content that touches the minds of museum visitors. Currently, Nissin Foods Group is completing its next Shashi history of a hard-boiled comic company, which is scheduled to be published in 2018, the 60th anniversary of its foundation. The concept movie of this project is on their website, so in conclusion, I strongly emphasize the necessity of top management involvement. This is a really strategic kind of utilization of archives and records and history and heritage. In addition, the continued employment of trained archivists who are basically absent in Japanese business is critical to ensure the sustainable development of corporate archives and to make access easier for scholars such as some of you are from the academic community. We hardly have Japanese Archivist. This is my issue to raise in the future as well. So this is what I intend to address tenaciously, or again and again and again. Thank you for your attention. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.